First of all, I want to start in our quarantine. We're drinking Budweiser.
Yeah, and some
Hans is drinking some.
It's like the Trader Joe IPA, double IPA. It's pretty relatively inexpensive. So,
and we were smoking DJC. It's a indica leaning hybrid. Oh, it just dropped off the table.
Yeah, but John, the purpose we're having you on is because every episode we try to get like someone who's an expert in something.
An expert. All right.
Well, basically what our podcast is about is we basically just shoot the shit, talk with different people every time about, different topics. So
yeah, this was like John McAfee, so we were talking a little bit about some coronavirus conspiracies, what he thinks is going to be happening, and then kind of just like previous black ops, that our CIA has done.
From what I understand, you are a flat earther. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we have dabbled ourselves. I wouldn't say I don't know, how would you?
We're kind of on the fence. Like, we're not globetards, but
we're interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the point of this interview is we just like to learn more about it, ask some questions. We have some questions from our viewers that they've sent in through email. And shoot the shit, have a good time, and talk about flat Earth.
I don't know if you'd want to start, maybe you give us a little introduction of when did you realize the Earth was flat? What's made you passionate about it now to spread that message? And, if you want to tell a little bit of your story.
Well, it was a few years back. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's like, this is going to sound crazy, but I think the world might be flat. And I was like, no way, dude. Like, I started spitting out all this stuff that they teach you in school about gravity and fucking the solar system and all this other bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And math, et cetera, shit everybody knows. I'm like, so it can't be flat. And then he just kept asking me questions, and I couldn't answer all of his questions.
Right.
I started doing research.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck?
Yeah, what did it for me was have you seen the plane map, the map of the planes?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, where it shows them like how their actual flight paths.
Yeah, they don't go where you think they're going at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what made me do a sort of a double take.
Well, interesting on that fact, recently, well, around the same time when I was studying it was a few years back, but around the same time I started researching flat Earth, my baby mama's mom actually flew from California to China, and she said they went straight north the whole time. And I was like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it started out where I was trying to prove it wrong, and the more I researched things, the more I couldn't answer questions, and the more things started to seem like something was up. And then eventually I was just like, it can't be a sphere. It can't be how they're telling us it is.
Yeah. So I know there's like different levels of flat Earth belief. Like there's a group of people who believe that like the sun is sort of at the top here and the Earth is like this. There's another group that believes like the ice caps sort of surround us. I don't know scientifically where are you at?
What would your model be of it?
Well, I believe that that like it's like a snow globe kind of shape, I believe that Antarctica goes in a circle around like the edge, and the North Pole would be the center.
Uh-huh.
There's like a dome, so to speak, over all of that goes really high up, obviously.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what it's made out of. I don't know. I just, when I was researching Admiral Byrd, I remember him talking about, he called it a barrier. In the Bible, it would be called the firmament. Yeah, that's how I would describe it, kind of like that.
Cool.
Wait, so in the Bible they talk about this?
In the Bible, it mentions the Earth being flat, and there's tons of verses about it.
Huh.
The Earth being God's footstool, it having a foundation, and that it shall not be moved.
Mhm.
And it all kind of like tied together. And then when you think about it too, how the stars go in a perfect circle above us throughout the year. I was like, that doesn't make sense if we're spinning around at thousands of kilometers an hour around a giant ball and spin. You know, I was like, how do the stars all circle at the
Yeah,
same
wouldn't
time?
we fall right off, you know?
Huh?
Wouldn't we just fall right off?
Right?
Yeah, if we're going that fast. I mean, have you heard of the scientist? I think he was down in like New Mexico area, Mad Mike Hughes.
Oh yeah, he just died.
Really?
The guy who shot himself off in the rocket, he was a flat Earth supporter, and he was like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna go up and actually see what it looks like." And he was building rockets for years, yeah, and got up pretty high. And on his well, obviously his last flight because he crashed. Like something went wrong. Something went wrong, and like his parachute didn't come out, so he died. But yeah, I think that was like last year.
Yes.
But no, he never got to get up high enough to actually like take any pictures or anything.
Shoot, what's that guy's name? It's back in like the early 1900s. It was Jacques Cousteau's dad. Something, and his last name would have been Cousteau.
Okay.
Huh.
He was the first guy to go up into the stratosphere, and he made this like special, hydrogen balloon, and he had a sphere that he went in with little portholes so he could see.
Uh-huh.
Really? Wow.
His stuff is why they sent Admiral Byrd out to go find out what's really going on.
Wow. Very interesting.
What? Can you find his shit online? Did he take pictures or anything, or is it just like?
Take any photos. He just had his testimony about it, but he went up there and came back, and he said it's flat as far as he could see.
Interesting.
And like Admiral Byrd was like, who Indiana Jones was a real guy, it would have been like Admiral Byrd, but like military version.
Hell yeah. I actually studied anthropology because I always wanted to find something and say, this belongs in a museum.
I mean, like, honestly, I'd like to go up there myself, but I do know from even when you're in a plane, like, you can see far. When you can see, it's a clear sky. It's fucking flat pretty damn far. Like,
Amen, brother. So, I think we're all in agreement, more or less, that the earth is flat. Because I don't have any proof to show it's not, other than those fabricated pictures made by the globetards.
NASA.
Yeah.
Have you seen? So here's a question I always want to ask other flat earthers. Have you seen the Netflix documentary called "The Flat Earth"?
I did actually, and it was disappointing.
Yeah, they went pretty fucking hard. And one thing that was pretty convincing is all these experiments that they are showing on the show that are proving the opposite of what the guys want. I'm wondering, like, what the flat Earth community, how did they respond to that movie? Because, like, I feel like it was pretty manipulating in the sense that they, like, spent time with them and then just shit on them.
Yeah, I think that was like some propaganda shit. They wanted to take all the common, things that people are using as evidence, and they wanted to just disprove it. But I was like, the fact that they feel they need to disprove this shit so bad, if it wasn't true, why do they give a shit?
Yeah.
Good point.
Like,
Good point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't matter, then why does it matter?
And my other thought is, like, because they're hiding all this shit, why are they doing it? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? What's going on behind the curtains? Why do they need to have this false narrative, and why is it so important?
Well, personally, I believe it's so, like, if they can help use it to prove that God doesn't exist. If there's all this infinite space and aliens created us, or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
And then it's the perfect excuse for people to start disappearing. Oh, it's the aliens or fucking whatever. Like, I'm not saying there might not be other shit that exists, with all the weird stuff going on, but I don't believe, like, I think it's just all geared to get people to not believe in God is what it comes down to.
Interesting.
Interesting.
So how do you think it affects like this story that the Earth is round? How does that affect the rest of how we understand the universe, or does it just end with the Earth? Do you know what I mean?
I think it completely alters the way we see everything. If you don't even know what the planet you're on is, like, how are you gonna know what anything else is past that?
Yeah. No.
And where we live, like,
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. So how long has this movement been going on? Because the first time I heard about it was probably
maybe
5 years ago.
Maybe 5 years ago.
But I know that it's grown to such a momentous, like there's so many. The movement is huge right now, and that's why they put out the documentary. Where do you see it going from here? Like, is it gaining support, or is it sort of like flatlining or dwindling?
I honestly don't know. I haven't really been paying attention. I don't really talk about it too much with people anymore. I did for a while when I first, was like, oh shit, I gotta tell everybody.
Yeah.
Then they just act like you're crazy. So I'm like, well, fuck it. If you don't want to know, then, like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you. I mean, if someone talks about it, I'll talk to them. But I'm not running around telling everybody anymore because people don't care. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, what's the most common reaction you get when you do bring it up to someone? I'm curious.
a lot of people get angry, which is understandable because
Yeah, it's like
their core belief of where the world is. Like,
it's like shattering their basic understanding of reality.
And people don't like that shit, so I understand that. But I'm like, you can't help somebody if they don't want it. So there's so much you can do on that level. I just hope that everyone realizes the truth and we've all been lied to, and it starts to realize like there's bigger things going on because of that.
Yeah.
So one other question I have is the flat Earth movement.
Grabbing another beer.
The flat Earth movement is growing.
Yeah.
And what's the end goal? Like, once we are able to get most of the world, or at least Americans, to believe and know that the Earth is flat, then what are the next steps?
Well, I would be like, well, let's keep digging. Let's keep finding out what else is true and what we've been lied to, for hundreds, thousands of years about. Like, start figuring out what's really going on with, everything. Like, it's a big thing to cover up.
Do you know any other things that the government's been lying to us about, like the flat Earth? Any other like things you're pretty certain on?
I don't know if you guys have heard about the Nephilim.
No, I haven't.
No, what's the Nephilim? Is that the triangle thing that's in the sky?
No, they're it's gonna start sounding crazy, but
this is what this podcast is for, dude. Getting out.
Yeah, all alternative ideas.
Yeah,
so.
Alternative ideas.
There's this has been covered up. Like, they used to be in the Smithsonian museums until like back in the 50s, I want to say. They took them all out, all the bones and the skulls. But they're a race of six-fingered giants that were, on average 14 feet tall or so. Their skulls are 30% larger than ours.
Holy shit.
They've been talked about by every ancient culture across the planet. Their bones and skulls have been found on every continent in the world. I believe they're where technology comes from and a lot of other shit. Like, the whole Illuminati to begin with comes from, witchcraft, from the Cabal, which comes from, ancient pagan witchcraft, which comes from the Nephilim to begin with.
That's great. Wait, so are they like are they from Earth, or are they supposed to be from?
No, well, I'm a Christian, so that's where my view is coming from and all of this. But they're a combination of fallen angels and humans. So what happens is, like, they'll do a satanic ritual, and the male would be possessed, and then they, have sex, and the baby's born immediately, and they grow rather rapidly. They're fully grown within less than a year.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're called the Nephter?
The Nephilim.
The Nephilim. And what role did they play in our history? Like, are they tied into like ancient Egypt or like?
Everything. If you look back, all the ancient gods were real people, but they were Nephilim.
Hmm.
I found evidence of that recently. It was a theory I had for years and years. And it was actually when I was researching the history of the Danes that I found evidence of that because the god Odin that they followed was a real person. He was a Nephilim, led him on conquest through the Middle East. But the Nephilim like bloodline is the ones that is connected with all the pharaohs in Egypt, all the kings and queens in Europe. Now all the presidents' bloodline, like they're all part of that shit.
Even Trump?
I don't believe. Yeah, I believe he is too. I don't believe you get like after they killed Kennedy. I don't believe anybody's getting in office that's not a part of that shit.
Really?
I mean, I think it's all staged. It's all a big, puppet show.
So even Trump, you think is staged? Like Trump over Clinton, you think they
I think
picked
it's
Trump?
still staged. Like I think it's all bullshit.
I mean, yeah, it would be.
You're probably right.
No, I'm serious. I think it would be in their best interest to do that, and it wouldn't be that hard since they, it.
And
Think
he's
about it.
the good guy fighting against the Illuminati, but in all reality, I mean, it's all false flag tactics. Like it's the same shit they've always been doing.
Well, they do it through the media. Think about it. I mean, there's like 5 major media outlets. They're all owned by the same 1 or 2 companies.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard to get in there and just slowly start twisting the perception of reality is essentially how you do it.
Now they got everyone like locked down in their houses. Well, now it'd be real easy for them to do some shit and not be watched. Like,
dude, I ate a bunch of edibles the other night, and it really started to hit me. Like, what if this wasn't what they're saying it is? The whole coronavirus thing. They got us all locked down. What if there's a fucking alien invasion in fucking Russia and they want everyone to chill? What if there's something else going on? There's a million things it could be besides the coronavirus.
There's one theory going around right now that actually Hillary Clinton and associates released this weapon, the virus in Wuhan to spread so she could get on Joe Biden's short list of VPs. And if you look at it right now, she's on it.
Well, I mean, John McAfee had a bunch of interesting theories about the coronavirus. He was saying like the Chinese government invented something so powerful and mind-blowing that they had to, and there was some kind of accident at the plant, and they had to create this story to sort of to cover it up.
If you think about it, though, why is it called COVID-19? What happened to 1 through 18?
Oh, it's called COVID-19 because it's been going on since December 2019. So that's a date right there. Yeah.
I don't know. I was just like thinking about that because
it's totally a good question.
Yeah, imagine if this is just the first COVID. I mean, there was 2 other COVIDs to come out before. I think swine flu and MERS, but those are only 2.
I mean, I do think that like obviously some people are dying, but I think this has been blown up to cover some other shit so that they can go and do what they're doing. Like, if I was the government, this is exactly what I would do. I'd make some bullshit virus. I would get everybody in a panic, and then they start freaking out, initiate martial law, take your guns, take over.
Yeah, right.
Not a bad idea, brother.
I mean, that's what people are saying is coming next is the lockdown, martial law, where you can get pulled over for just being outside your house.
Yeah, fuck that. Like, you can't take my constitutional rights. I'm a free man. Like,
oh, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's whack.
Exactly.
Lock all of us up.
So we had a few other questions just so our listeners can get some background information on, like, how long have you been part of this flat earth movement? What part of the country are you located in, as specific you want to share with that as possible? And then also, what's your normal job, just out of curiosity?
You don't have to give us any information.
You can be as vague or as specific as you want.
I'm from California. I lived in a few different parts of the United States over the years.
You're locked down right now. You're in Cali?
Yeah. I
shit.
This place.
We're in Colorado right now, and we're like about to be locked down. But sorry to interrupt.
No worries. What was the other question? Flat Earth movement. I would say it was probably back in 2000. It's been about 3 years. It was probably like 6 years ago or 7 years ago. Is when my friend. I heard about it like a year or two before that, and I was like, "Oh fuck that," it's retarded. And then it was like a year or two after that when my friend started asking me about it. So it's probably like 6 or 7 years ago, though.
Nice.
I mean, I researched it for a good 6 or 7 months, like all day, just digging in information. And one day it just clicked, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
That's the one thing I've realized about most flat earthers I've spoken to is they've done like a 6-month fucking research period where they actually know what they're talking. Like they've dug into the
most stuff just
shit.
jump to that conclusion immediately.
Yeah, and that
like
but
really
that's awesome though.
Take their time to think it out.
That's awesome though, because you got a group of people who like actually can say that they spent the time to learn about it, which is like.
I didn't believe it, so I wanted to prove it wrong. So like I had to find information. So the more I dug, the more questions I got, and I was like, "Wait a minute!"
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What's up?
I have a question though. I know this is like debated a lot in flat Earth culture. Is the moon? So is the moon I understand that a lot of people believe the moon is round and it's floating or spinning around the top of the globe.
Yeah.
Is that your thoughts on it, or like what are there any other perspectives?
Well, I think that the moon and the sun are the same size, and that they both have their own little circles that they do in the sky. That's why they're obviously not in the same orbit. But
yeah,
I think that like the sun is a heater and the moon's a cooler kind of thing. I did the test with the laser thermometer. When there's a full moon out, it's actually colder where the moonlight is versus the darkness, and I did that.
Wait, can you explain that test?
I saw someone that did it when I was doing my research trying to prove stuff wrong, and I did a laser thermometer. So you take it, and I went and found an even spot where it was right next to the darkened light, the line, right? The shadow would be cast, and I would check the temperature of the same object in the moonlight, and I would check it in the darkness, and it would be warmer in the darkness by several degrees usually versus the moonlight. And it was like that everywhere I checked on every surface, and it blew my mind. I was like, how the fuck is that possible unless the moon's emitting its own light, its own radiation,
Wow. Really? So wait, the laser thermometer works like you point a laser at something and it can tell you the temperature of where the laser is touching?
Yeah, it's like a gun, and you point it, and whatever the laser's on, I usually did it within a couple of feet, just to make sure there wasn't, picking up the air or nothing.
Really? And the moonlight was cooler, huh?
Everywhere I did it on multiple surfaces, multiple locations, just to make sure, because I was like, maybe, a certain area I'm at or whatever,
Interesting.
Yeah, you gotta check your variables.
Huh.
Yeah. I think probably our last question is going to be, unless you have a few for us, would be kind of what are some other of your maybe non-mainstream ideas you have?
Well, we covered that.
We did?
Yeah.
What did we say?
Well, I mean, it depends on how dark and stuff you guys want to get into shit, because, like, I could tell you about some fucked up cult stuff that's going down. Like,
yeah. Tell us, we like the fucked up dark shit. Like, we want to hear the worst of the worst.
Because that's like, it's going to take some time. I actually had a cult try to sacrifice me a few years back.
Oh, what? Oh, dude, please tell us about that.
Tell us this story.
You're comfortable.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Bad, like, gave me PTSD. Like, it's not the first time someone's tried to kill me, but like what they did, the whole ritual is just what fucked me up.
So how did you get involved in this? Can you start from the beginning and tell us what happened?
Well, like, I was living up in the Midwest, and like totally different world up there. Not saying that shit doesn't happen out here, because it does, but I found out recently, years fucking after the fact, why they did what they did. I just thought, they were evil or whatever. Actually has to do with adrenochrome. They were trying to harvest my fucking adrenaline.
What?
Yeah, fucked up. Like, what happened is, this was back in the day. This was years ago, back in 2012.
Uh-huh.
Doing a lot of drugs back then. So, like, I was at a festival, which not saying don't go to a festival, because, like, you could find people like this anywhere. It's not just because I was at a festival. It's not just because I was on drugs or fucking whatever.
Sure, we love music.
Like, this shit happens, you know? So what happened? I mean, it could be your fucking neighbor doing this shit. It could be the guy that you were, you know, you never know. You can't be like, oh, it's this type of person because that's how they look.
Right.
But I was at this festival, met these people. They were really cool. We hung out for like 3 days straight. Turns out they lived in the same city I did. We actually lived a couple miles from each other, and I was like, oh shit, you know, let's hang out. So we started chilling like every fucking day for months. And had no previous warning or like, you know, don't fucking hang around these people. They're going to try to kill you. Like, you know.
Holy shit.
So I had no, but the weird thing was, is like when I moved to this town, there was a guy that died like right after I moved there, and they found his body by the river. And then I started asking around. Huh?
Were you his replacement?
Well, no, like it was, I met them the summer after I first moved there. So when I first moved there, a guy's body turned up. And then I found out later this happens all the time. And it's always a white guy in his fucking early, mid-20s, you know, same type of, but it happens every fucking year.
Wait, can you say the name of the state or town, or would you prefer not
I
to?
don't want to specifically name it.
No, that's good. That's all cool.
They know me personally still, and they did stalk me for months afterward.
Oh man, I'm glad you're okay now. That's terrifying.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll not go there, but continue.
I just gotta say it's in the northern Midwest, you know. But
yeah.
What was I saying? So I was chilling with them. We just got fucked up all the time, and it was cool, you know. I was just like, I wasn't paying attention to nothing going on. I was just doing drugs with them a lot. And one night, I gone over to their house, and they're like, "Hey, you know, you want to come over?" Because the guy was a DJ, so like he was pretty well known in the city, in the town we were at. And he was like, "Hey, you want to come over?" Normal shit, you know. I had no. I was also selling weed at the time.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I had my gun, and I would keep it in my trunk. I would keep my little safe with my gun and my weed and my money, you know.
Yeah.
So I brought it inside just because, like, I didn't want to leave my shit in the car overnight. Didn't feel threatened. Didn't, you know, I wasn't like, oh, I need my gun, you know. I trusted these people. And we all went inside and we were chilling. And these other people had come out from Oregon. So I knew about half the people at the house. I didn't know the other half of the people. And this was in downtown, like in the middle of the city, like not out in somewhere in the middle of fucking nowhere, like literally the middle of downtown, like on top of a lawyer's office. And so we were all chilling, getting fucked up, you know, had Molly at the time. So like the deal was I was going to give this guy some Molly so I could get some acid because I hadn't had it in a while. And I was like, hell yeah, I want some good shit from out west.
For sure.
So it turns out he gives me the acid, then he doesn't want the Molly because he was like, it was something wrong with it. He was being picky. So he's like, oh, and I was like, well, here, let me give you cash for the fry. And he's like, oh, no, it's fine, dude. You can just have it. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Out there, that's a hot commodity, you know, like.
Man.
And I have had a lot of people when I told them, oh, you were just on acid, that's why this happened, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, man, like, I've been doing acid for fucking years. I've been in bad trips before, been in bad situations. This is different.
Wait, so you were tripping during this experience? That makes it so much fucking scarier.
But that's perfect. Like if I was them, that makes sense when you think about it. Because then I go running around telling everybody when I got away, well, that guy was crazy. He was on acid.
Right. Holy.
This is exactly what happened. Like these motherfuckers. So I'm getting ahead.
What happened? Yeah. What happened?
So we're chilling. Everyone's getting fucked up. Like they even brought a chick there. Like, see, the 3 months before that, they were getting to know everything about me. They got to know what I liked, what I didn't like, the women I liked, all this shit. They brought a chick there just to distract me. Like, the exact epitome of what a woman that I would want was there. Like, they fucking planned this shit out.
Wow.
Jeez.
Down to the smallest detail, right?
That's fucking crazy.
That's so gnarly, man.
We're chilling, we're all getting fucked up, and throughout the night, I had slowly gotten herded into the corner of the apartment, or the loft, whatever you want to call it. It was a big fucking place, but like, I had no way to get out quickly. Like, I had a good 20, 30 feet to the balcony to jump off the building and 20-foot drop to try to escape, or I had to run another 30 feet.
So gnarly, man. Oh, man.
It's like, there's no way out, right? Which I wouldn't normally get in that situation, but once again, I didn't feel threatened, so like, I was totally comfortable, you know? So I'm chilling against the wall, and I'm tripping, you know, we're chilling, everything's cool. And I started to get this weird feeling all of a sudden that I get sometimes. And I've learned whenever I get that feeling, I need to get the fuck out of the area, because like, something bad's about to happen.
Yeah,
Did you just feel, you just felt like a feeling of anxiety before it all went down?
Literally out of nowhere, it just hit me like something's wrong. And I was like,
because acid gives you that sixth sense, dude. It sometimes does.
I'm really sensitive anyway. Like I said, it's not the first time someone's tried to kill me. Like it's happened several times. I've been dead twice. Like,
fuck, man.
Wow.
We might have to have you on again to get all these stories.
Yeah. We're running short on time, right?
No, I want to hear the end.
You want to hear the end of it? Or?
Yeah, the best part of the fucking story. What are you talking about?
Oh, I'm talking about the death stories. We want to hear again later.
Yeah. But this story, 100%.
Yeah, we want to hear the end of this for sure.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm usually sensitive to shit, and I got that feeling, and I was like, oh no, I don't like that, you know. And I was like, no, everything's fine. I'm trying to rationalize shit. I'm like, no, just it's fine. Just be calm. You're cool. Everything's fine. That's what I'm telling myself in my head. And so what happens is, everybody was where I was positioned against the wall. There were people all around me. Like, there was 3 people right next to me within arm's reach, and there was a couch on my left, and there were 2 people, and then there was another couch on my right, and then past that diagonally there's another couch, and that's where that girl went. Like, it was all people, but it was like a chill house, you know, so it's totally normal stuff.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is, like, I just happened to look across the room, and the guy who owned the place, it looked like he was getting really mad, because once I got that bad feeling, I started looking around. So I was just chilling before that. And I start looking around, and I see the guy, and like, the veins in his neck are popping out. And I'm like, oh shit, he's mad.
Shit.
See him like fucking talking to the other guy, you know, and I'm like, that's fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
So then, like, up there, it's like a big Native American population.
Uh-huh.
Gay population, so it's like really ethical not to talk about them at all, you know, in a negative way. Like, people trip out really bad. So what happens is, this native chick that was there gets in an argument with this gay dude, and it all happens at the same time. They get in this fucking argument, and they start tripping, like, going back and forth. And I was laughing because I thought it was funny. And then I noticed that, like, I got that feeling again, and I noticed the dude was like really mad on the other side of the room. So I stopped like laughing, and I was like, oh. And I heard him say, like, it's time to see who our real friends are. And that's what caught my attention. I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck does that mean?
What?
Yeah, because I'm like, what?
Yeah.
At the same time, I look to my left, and there's a fucking syringe all of a sudden chilling on the arm of the couch with some surgical tubing and a little fucking bag or something.
What?
Hell no. Like, I'd never seen these people shoot up or nothing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I wouldn't have liked it if it was a normal syringe, but it was like one of those fucking like 1920s glass syringes with the metal fucking finger hole.
Oh my god, man, that's wild.
What the fuck? Then I'm like, just stay cool, bro. Just like chill, it's fine. Like, you know what I mean? So
Holy shit.
I'm still trying to rationalize shit. I'm like, oh, that's why there's tension in the room. This guy needs to shoot up because he's mad about the argument, and they're worried about me being cool about it. So I'm like, you know, me trying to rationalize shit, trying to stay calm. And then, so I say, to break the tension, I'm like, it's all good. Guy next to me looks at me, he's like, what's all good? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you just casually fucking pull this shit out. But I'm like, don't freak out. Just stay calm. Like, and I say it again. It's all good. And he's like, what's all good? And I'm like, are you fucking with me right now? Like, and I started to get like, what the fuck? And then the hot chick, fucks with, stretches a little bit, distracts me. I look at her, and then all of a sudden the lights go on and off, and everything's like reset back before the argument. And I was like, what the fuck?
Wait, so what happened? The lights turned off and
The lights
turned back on. Everything was back to normal.
Quick, right? And then like almost like I was like, oh, I didn't notice that,
Yeah.
And everybody was back in the positions they were before the argument, like everything, right? Everything was reset. And I'm like, that's fucking weird. But then it gets like the same situation happens again. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm like, I'm losing my shit right now, or they're fucking with me. So I was like, I just did it again. I was like, it's all good. Same situation. So this happens multiple times until the point where I'm so fucking confused. I can't tell if I'm tripping or some fucked up shit's going on, or I'm just like, need to chill the fuck out. I'm confused. I'm like, what the fuck? And then this little voice in the back of my head says, hey, stop looking at the hot bitch. I stopped looking at her and I started looking at everybody else around me. And I started to notice that everyone's being fucking weird. And like, I started to notice that people were like fidgeting with shit and like looking back and forth at each other real quickly, but not keeping a glance. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Wait, really? The whole room was in on it?
Everybody, except like, it seemed like two of the people were kind of like out of it. Like they were too fucked up, or I don't know. But the majority of the people were looking at each other real quick, little eye glances. And if I hadn't been looking and paying attention, I wouldn't have noticed this shit. But I was looking back at the dude again, the one that got mad and owned the place. And he like was looking past my shoulder to his girl, and he did like the most subtle fucking nod. Like if I hadn't been looking right at him, I would not have seen it. I looked over at her, and she fucking and she was this tiny little chick, and she stood up, and this is when I lost all doubt that something fucked up was about to happen.
Fuck.
She fucking she stood up, and she said, I blah 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 to commence the ceremony. I don't remember the first part. I just remember she got to commence the ceremony.
Oh my.
That's when I was like, oh fuck, like, nah, man, like, getting a little upset, but I couldn't talk about this shit for a long time without breaking down.
No, you're all good, man. Take your time.
Yeah, appreciate you telling that story. It's great.
So she said that, and I was like, oh fuck no. So I jumped up from sitting down because I was like, I'll fucking kill you. You know what I mean? Like, it's not happening that way, And I went to reach for my knife, but I didn't have it because I was at the bar, so I left my knife in the fucking car. And I was like, of course, they took me to the bar first. They always knew I was armed, like, and then it all started to make sense. And I was like, oh fuck,
Damn.
And then, so I was like, fuck it, then I'll just fight. I've been doing martial arts for a while now, and I was in really good shape, and like, I was like, I'll just fight my way out then. So then I got up to fucking start swinging, get in position, and the three people closest to me started chanting in Latin in unison.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. Like, they all started chanting in Latin together, and this thing fucking hit me like a brick. Like, not even a brick. It hit me like a truck. Like, literally threw me back against the wall and then pulled me to the ground. And, like, I couldn't fucking move. Like, I was...
Wait, what hit you?
A demon.
Damn.
A demon hit you?
We're going to start sounding crazy. Like...
Oh, no.
What did the demon look like, though? Like, could you describe it?
I couldn't see it. All I could see was this dark shadow that was on me. Like, I was using all my strength to stay on my hands and knees, and I could feel like this super immensely heavy weight on my body. Like, I could feel it inside me, like squeezing my ribs and like pulling me down, and it was on me and in me, and like I was fighting just to stay up.
So wait, do you think that they summoned the demon with the Latin chant? Or
definitely. Like I
Ah,
believe like
that's insane.
Do you think that most demons come from Latin America?
Latin America?
Yeah,
No,
like Latin America,
no.
like
Latin comes from
their chants are like,
no Latin. Latin comes from fucking Rome and Italy and shit.
they
no,
either use
Latin
Latin.
America is like South America and
Yeah,
stuff
I
is what I
know.
was referring to.
Yeah,
There's a reason that they use that old language. But that goes way back before Mexico existed, way back
yeah,
before, you know, it's nothing to do with Latin people at all.
yeah. So wait. So what happened? You feel this demon hit you in the chest. It like
Oh
goes in.
no, it literally threw me against the wall and then pulled me down. Like, and I was fighting. I'm not a small
Ah,
guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah.
this
Holy
thing
shit!
pulled me down, and like I was fighting to stay on my hands and knees. And I looked up, and like the room was dark, and I felt this terrible fucking pain in my chest, and like everyone around me started chanting together at this point, and they were all starting to pull out syringes together and like slowly coming toward me.
Oh my god!
And like people don't understand what it means to be terrified. Like
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
people will be scared or fucking whatever. Oh, I almost died. Like, nah, like I'm talking terrified. Like, you know, you're gonna
Next
fucking
level.
die and there's nothing you can do about it.
Wow.
Damn, man, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
So wait, how? So how'd you get at it? Like, what happened? They're coming at you with syringes.
So they're all coming toward me with syringes, and I was freaking out, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking die, like, you know.
Yeah,
And,
seriously.
I was fighting, you know, I couldn't move, and so I was like, I need to pray, you know, and I said, Lord, save me, you know, and nothing happened. Then I really started freaking out.
Wow.
So then they're getting closer and closer to me, and then I remembered, and I was like, Jesus. I said, Jesus, save me.
So how long ago was this again when it happened?
This was October 12th, 2012.
Okay. Have you ever had any like similar or less intense experiences since then?
Well, I want to hear the end of this one.
Yeah.
Well, I've had some experiences with demons since then, and before then. I haven't had any problem with the cult since then, but I'm pretty like I don't trust people anymore. So
Fuck, man, I feel like there's so much to cover with this. Like, I mean,
what
maybe
so
Finish what happened, but then
Yeah.
like we definitely want to have you back on if you're available when we're all in quarantine.
No, this shit's
I'm down.
fascinating, and I feel like your story should fucking get out there. I mean,
Yeah.
I've never heard anything like this before. But continue. So they're coming at you with the syringes.
Yeah, so they're coming at me, right? And they're all chanting, and the room's all dark, and like, so I said, Jesus, save me, and then the demon just let go of me. Like, he like cringed really tight, and then it let go. It was gone. And I was
Really?
able to move, and I looked up, and everyone was still chanting, and like all their pupils looked black. And I looked over, and there happened to be my fucking safe with my gun in it, about 4 feet away.
What?
Yeah, so I dove over there and I grabbed the safe while they were still coming. Like, it was fucking crazy. This is where it doesn't make sense. So I was able to punch in the combination to my safe, grab the gun, I chambered around, and I pointed at the dude's head that was closest to me. And I said, take another step, I'm blowing your fucking head off. And, like, I was fucking shaking. And then
Oh my God.
the fucking chick that was there to distract me, she screamed. And then everyone snapped out of the like fucking trance they were in. They stopped chanting, and everyone like all of a sudden was wide-eyed, like, "Oh fuck, he's got a gun." And then, so I'm standing there, you know, and I didn't want to shoot it. I didn't want to have to kill him. I know they just tried to fucking kill me.
Yeah.
I just wanted to fucking leave. So like, I'm like, you know what I mean? It's, you know, you can always be like, "Oh, someone tries to kill me, I'll fucking kill him." But like when you're in the situation, it's different.
And if it's a demon, how do we kill a demon? You
Well,
know?
he was gonna shoot the guy.
To kill the demon, you have to rebuke it. And Jesus' name is the only thing I've found that works.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it did. So you pointed the gun at them. They all sort of snapped out of it. Were they like?
Well, the chick screamed. When the chick screamed, they all like snapped out of it. And then all of a sudden, like the one guy who owned the place, he's like, "Not cool, bro." And I was like, fuck you, not cool, bro. Like, that's what you have to say right now? You know? What the fuck were you doing? They're like, we weren't doing anything. And like, I was so upset. I wanted to fucking like argue with them. You know, stupid. Like,
Yeah.
then I'm like, you weren't just fucking chanting? They're like, we weren't chanting. And then I'm like, why are you talking? In my head, I'm like, why are you talking to them? Fucking leave. Like,
So did you just peace out after that?
well, so I'm standing there, right? And then like they just start dispersing like nothing happened and like walking around. And I'm like, but away from me, you know? And then they're like, what are you gonna do? And I was like, I'm fucking leaving. Like, I'm gonna pretend this didn't happen right now and I'm gonna walk out that fucking door.
Holy shit.
Then it took me like I was shaking, I was all fucked up, got in my car, it took off. It took me like 2 hours to get to my buddy's house. Then they started stalking me. They were at every fucking bar I went to. They were at every store I went to. They were everywhere in the fucking city I went.
Really?
I kept that going with me everywhere I went, loaded. I was like, fuck you. I will shoot your ass in public. You come near me. Like, I talked to them when they would come up to me, but they would always show up whenever I tried to tell someone what happened. They would just fucking show up out of nowhere.
So what, like, do you know anything about what they were involved in? What cult they're involved in? What kind of?
There was no warning. There was no fucking idea. But I never knew what they were. I knew they were trying to take my blood. I didn't know what for.
So I know you mentioned adrenal glands before. That was part of it?
Well, I recently found out about adrenochrome. I don't know if you've heard about it, but
Read it for our listeners.
Yeah, what's adrenochrome?
What happens is, I'm not an expert on adrenochrome, so forgive me if I screw some of this up. I will say to go research it. But what happens is, what they'll do is these Satan worshipers will take people and they do satanic ritual abuse. And what they'll do is they do a ritual like what they did to me, and they will take that person and they will induce them in a extremely high stress environment. They'll usually torture them or do like what they did with me, because the demon feeds off of me being freaked out with that energy, as well as what they would do then is either drink my blood, and the massive amount of adrenaline that's released is actually like a drug.
Interesting.
Or what they'll do is they'll actually insert a syringe into the adrenal gland in your neck, and they will extract the pure adrenaline, which can then be turned into adrenochrome, which is like a drug for the elite.
Jeez. Yeah. Wow. So I sort of heard something like this happening in Mexico, where they'd find like a healthy young male tourist and torture him, then kill him and extract shit from him. Is that sort of like the same type shit?
The people that do it to animals, not necessarily. I'm not going to say they're all part of the occult.
But it was a cult shit. It was some type of cult murder case I heard about.
No, I mean, it could. I've heard of like military people doing that to snakes and stuff out in the jungle, like as a rite of passage. So I wouldn't say everyone doing it to an animal is a Satan worshiper, but there's cults that do this. There's cults that specifically will harvest that for the elite. They'll sell it to the elite, other Satanists and stuff like that.
Damn. So I don't know how much you want to get into this, but you seem to know a lot about demons and the occult. I guess I have a bunch of questions. Can you describe like your perspective of what a demon is, how it operates, and like how it has infiltrated our highest government? Because I know that there's a shitload of fucking conspiracies in regards to politicians, the highest people in power being involved in sacrifice and that kind of stuff. Does that tie into what you experienced?
Yes, but what I like, it's not everyone doing that doesn't have to mean they're connected with the government. Or there's this group of people that are cults, that are witches, that you usually don't start doing that shit. It's over time. Like, you're not just gonna jump in and I'm gonna start sacrificing people. You start out by worshiping, and you'll slowly get deeper and deeper into it.
Right.
Over time, until that's where you end up.
Right.
So, I mean, so gotta skip
I know it's a big topic to get into, and I wish I knew how to break it down better, but
Where do you want me to start with what a demon is, or?
yeah, I feel like that's a good place to start.
Yeah, just because we've all seen movies, you know, like Spawn and things like that. But
Yeah.
what's like an actual demon in our world?
Yeah, I mean, you've experienced one, so.
Well, I just thought I was crazy when I was younger because I've been experiencing demonic entities since I was a young child.
Oh, wow.
Kids are actually more sensitive to that kind of thing. But when I was young, I just thought I was crazy, and I didn't want to tell anybody about it. I was seeing these dark shadows running around in my room and things watching me sleep, you know, because it's fucked up.
Fuck, that must have been
super
terrifying,
scary, yeah.
man. Like, traumatic as fuck.
Well, I mean, like, it would scare me as a kid, but it didn't, like, it was normal to me. Like, I was used to it, so, like, I didn't like it, but I wouldn't freak out and panic. I would just, like, get upset. I would yell at them, or, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, my parents didn't know what was going on because I wouldn't tell them. I wouldn't talk to them about it.
They probably wouldn't have believed you either, you know? That's the hard thing about being a kid and experiencing something like that, you know? Like, your parents will just tell you to, like, go back to bed.
Finding out through research, like, about 50% of people have some kind of demonic experience in their life, and they just don't talk about it.
Interesting.
Because, you know, people are scared to talk about it. They want people to think they're crazy or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
But they've been around for, you know, this isn't new. This isn't new to humanity. This isn't new. You know, it's been going on since the beginning of time.
For sure. John, we'd love to have you back on in the next like week or two if you're around. You've been awesome, super informative. We'd love to ask you a bunch of more questions about this topic. We do have like one, I think, final question for you.
Of course.
And that's going to be, you know, you've told us about these demons. What practices or religion or, you know, religious guidelines should we follow to help us prevent demons from interacting with us?
Yeah,
directly?
what attracts them? Like,
yeah,
how do you,
like how can we avoid them?
what
I
do
guess.
you,
What
do
is
you
what
attribute
is the right path to avoiding these demons?
Honestly, any type of sin attracts them. Any kind of evil activity that you're doing, like certain drugs, attracts them.
What drugs are demons okay with, and then what drugs
yeah, what about
okay
marijuana? Because we're smoking marijuana here on the set.
I've been smoking too. I don't know if you've noticed. I don't see any problem with weed. Like, I personally believe God gave us weed for a reason. You know, like, not that it can't be abused. It can, but specifically what I mean is like hallucinogens, which I still dabble sometimes, but a lot of Satan worshipers will use hallucinogens to connect with demons. So that's like how I connected with these people. Though that cult specifically was over the acid, like, you know, which I've done for years without any issues.
What about DMT? Is that I've heard that has a lot of connections to alternative dimensions.
I've done DMT a lot.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced any entities. I did once, but they know that I'm a Christian, you know, they don't like me.
I've only experienced positive entities with DMT. Like beautiful.
They're not always going to be mean to you, though. They're not always going to be bad. Like, they're going to want you to get on your good side first, you know?
Oh, interesting.
But see, there's different kinds of them. Some of them are just straight up mean all the fucking time, you know? Like, a lot of them, like, there's a hierarchy to how they work. Each one, different job, a different, like, specialty, so to speak. So some of them are going to appear to be nice to you. Some can still appear as an angel of light in order to deceive you.
Yeah.
As far as getting away from them, power over them, the name of Jesus specifically is the only thing I've found that works. I've tried multiple things. I've been attacked physically more than once.
Yeah.
So, like, from experience, that's the only thing that works is Jesus.
The name, that's interesting because I don't mean to step on your toes here or anything, John, but I was born a devout Muslim.
Yeah.
And I have prayed to the Prophet Muhammad as well as Allah in times where I felt like the devil and demons were personally enclosing on me.
Yeah.
It's all the same thing.
You know, the prayer of Allah and praying to my great Prophet Muhammad has actually helped me to fight the demons.
That's awesome if it works. I've only can say what from my experience. I do know that like the Muslims come from Ishmael and Isaac, the same father as Abraham. So
Abraham is the father of all the religions, right?
Yeah, we're all the same brothers and sisters. Different.
Yeah.
I mean, my perspective is we're all the same brothers and sisters, different verbiage and different interpretation. But I don't know if you feel the same way, but
I believe like humanity, we're all the same. We all come from the same people. You know, we all are. You know, God loves everyone the same.
Yeah.
But I do believe there's only one God, and you know, but we don't have to get into that. But yeah, in my personal experience, like even with like sleep paralysis, that's caused by demons. The only thing I've found,
I've experienced that before. That's scary as shit. Sleep paralysis.
It is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, the easiest way to break out of sleep paralysis is, I've worked with a few sleep doctors, is you concentrate as hard as you can to move your little finger, and then once you can move that, you break the whole paralysis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's what I've used before. But I mean, sleep paralysis is crazy. You see shit, you can't move.
I mean, I've had sleep paralysis. There's a demon just hovering right above me, just parallel with me, staring into my face, you know, like talking to me while I'm trying to get out of the sleep paralysis.
And you get that heavy weight on your chest and everything too, right?
Wait, what time is it?
7:15.
So John, we have another guest coming on at 7:30, but I'd love to keep in contact. I know there's a lot to cover here, and I'd love to delve in more because I have so many fucking questions, and I'd love to actually learn about. I mean, I've never talked to someone who's had experiences like you have, and I'd love to, you know, get them out there because I'm sure there's a shitload of people just like you were saying, who are terrified to talk about this.
Yeah.
And, you know, hearing one person's stories would probably be huge for them. And it's just fascinating.
It could help a lot of people. So
it's fascinating shit.
Thank you. If you want our listeners to find you anywhere, please let us know right now. I know you're a very anonymous man, but if there's anywhere that can contact you, share it right now.
I'd have to think about that, and I'll have something for them by the next time we meet, so that way for my own privacy.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I know that some of our listeners are definitely going to have like some questions too, because I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, and this is one of the more interesting interviews we've had. So I really do appreciate your time, seriously.
And
thanks for having me on.
All right, John. We'll
Let's
talk
connect again.
Adios from the Baptize Machine.
Stay healthy in Cali.
I'm trying.
Nice meeting you, brother.
Yeah, thank you.